Hello and welcome to the discussion and behind the scenes of my Super Quant deck that I have been broadcasting on YouTube lately. So here it is right here. So since my last video, which was about a week ago, I have changed it around a little bit. There's an important change that I've made, and that's this guy right here. Alphan Spike instead of Alphan Call Appeal. So this guy was kind of this card was all right, but it wasn't great. This one I'm having a lot more success with, namely because of its second effect right down here. So where it says you can banish this card to activate one mech ship magnacarrier from your deck. This has been extremely useful because when you want to summon Infinitrack, the Link monster Infinitrack, once you summon that, you won't have the Great Magnus out on the field anymore. So if you use this Alphan Spike as a discard for one of your magnacarriers, you can actually activate another one straight from the graveyard. So that way you can have another Great Magnus out on the field after that. So that's why it's been super useful. It has also been useful for the first effect. Now, the problem with the first effect is what they have in the extra deck, right? Because you don't really know. So it could be a problem what they have. In any case, I think it's a great card. A lot better than this Alphan Call Appeal. So on to my next card that I've included, World Legacy Succession. This card has also been extremely useful. I have also narrowed down the World Legacy secret down to one card. And this is in case you really can't do anything else in your first turn except summon, perhaps, Morningstar. And in that case, you can just add one of these to your hand and defend yourself until the next turn. So in the case that you can actually do a full-fledged combo, it's actually better to add this to your hand because it's basically a monster reborn, and it's super useful. I've also cut down a Purple Nightfall to 2, and I'm just basically cutting down on the Mech Knight monster build in this deck a little bit, and it has been a bit useful for sure. What I wanted to get to next was some strategies. I wanted to talk about how to actually use this deck if you ever wanted to actually play it. So if you wanted to do the one-turn combo that you've seen me do in some previous videos, if you haven't checked out my other videos on the Super Quant deck gameplay, then go ahead and do that. But if you want to get the first turn Great Magnus summon, then you have to make sure you have at least 8 cards. So what I mean by 8 cards is 8 total cards worth of materials out on the field and in the hand. Okay, so here's a game where I actually was able to summon Great Magnus on the first turn. So first thing I did was summoned Fairy Alphan, and I got lucky because I summoned Blue Layer. It could have worked either way because I have this succession here, and I could have summoned Blue Layer from the graveyard if I didn't summon him. So you have to get a magnacarrier in your hand on the first turn. That is essential. So regardless of whether you have it in your hand or not, you have to get it in your hand. So what you have to keep track of for this combo to work is the amount of cards that you gain from this combo. So right now, as you can see, we're going to get 1 card from Blue Layer. We're going to get 1 card from White Layer's second effect, which is to add a Fairy Alphan. And we're going to get 1 card from Red Layer's effect to special summon from the graveyard. So this is 3 extra cards. And that already equals 8 cards. So basically, from the moment this chain finishes, I will have had 8 cards total on the field and in my hand, and I'm ready to basically set up this combo. So I'm going to play it now. And now you can see 6 cards in the hand, 2 on the field. Alright, so what I did next was I had to get more monsters on the field because you have to have at least 3 monsters on the field for this combo to work. And if you have 3 monsters, you have to have a white layer in your hand. So here, I'll just show you here what happens. Okay, so now with this field, you have one XYZ here, and these are basically just bodies so that you can summon the Blaster Magna from the extra deck. So now I have another one here, and of course, at World Legacy Succession. All you do is summon that, boom. So I actually had plenty of extra cards. Well, I only had 1 extra card in my hand, but this is a great setup. See, now I have a Monster Reborn, and another magnacarrier in case somebody outs this Great Magnus. So that's the beauty of this deck. All you need is another field spell to summon it, and instantly, even if you've already summoned it before, you can just summon it again from the grave directly because you have 3 XYZs in your graveyard. So the key to playing this deck, like I've said already a couple times, is is keeping track of the cards in your hand on the field. So here I'm going to show you a kind of improvised first turn setup, but it still works. Now you don't need Fairy Alphan for this to work. So see this hand here, you can automatically, if you have a green layer, white layer, and blue layer in your hand, those 3 cards alone can get you a first turn Great Magnus. And I'll show you how here. So first I summon, add magnacarrier with blue layer. So I discarded a white layer. White layer adds. So now this is what? 6 cards. 6 cards. So I need 2 more cards. So now what I did, I got rid of this XYZ to make room by summoning the white layer. And then I used white layer's effect to send a red layer and a red layer to summon. So that makes 7 cards total that I have used thus far on the field and in the grid. Okay. Well, now that I'm thinking about this, that was only 7 cards, so all that's left now is to summon. In any case, you can see what I did, right? It is improvised. It's kind of strange, but it works. You know, you have this Great Magnus. It's got a white layer, so you can, if you are forced to use its effect before the main phase ends, you can send a white layer and add a Fairy Alpha to your hand. And of course, if somebody outs this Great Magnus, you can summon all 3 XYZs for defense, or if they're not destroyed, you can of course summon the Infinite Track. Okay, so here is a game where Alphan Strike was actually very useful. Now, of course, Evil Eyes are kind of overpowered and basically meta. Oh dang, he had a Waking the Dragon. Glad I didn't hit that. And it works out pretty well. So he summons this guy, the Scythe. It doesn't really matter too much because I have these really high attack monsters, and I can basically just summon and fill the entire field so that he won't OTK me next turn. So that's not a problem at all. See, now my field is... Okay, so now I just use Spike. So shuffled everything into his deck. This is good because for Evil Eyes, no Evil Eye cards are in the graveyard, so that's always a good thing. Now, he summoned I'm lucky because he summoned an Ultimate Falcon. And he could have been a little bit more sneaky by using an exterior, and in this case, that would be a little bit harder because I couldn't use this Monster Reborn or even activate a magnet carrier here in my field zone. So that would be in fact really difficult. I would have to kill him with this guy right here. That's the only way I could do it, but I could still get away with it. So, and really, it's a little risky if you want to put it that way, but it's not that bad. I figured that out now, and it's really good. It's really good. Now, the reason for only having one is if you just happen to have a magnet carrier already in your hand and you summon blue layer, then what do you add? Well, you can add one of these guys and then use the magnet carrier's effect to discard this. That way, after you use magnet carrier's effect to summon Great Magnus, you can activate another one from your deck. So, yeah, you basically add 2 cards right there. So in this case, I shuffled all of his monsters into the deck, and I'm able to activate it now. So this is actually another double win right here. So in this case, I got lucky. I kind of already drew a magnet carrier, but it doesn't really matter because I already had that extra backup in the graveyard. So I was forced to get rid of the blaster magnet here. The combos in this deck are just almost infinite. They're so awesome. This is one of the reasons I just love this deck. They're just the combos right now with this current build that I have. It's just so much fun to play it, and it's like, oh my god, there's just the combos just never end. They're infinite, and I will tell you this: it takes a lot of experience to get really good at playing this deck, but once you get it, it is so much fun, and you start feeling really good about the smart decisions that you make and the strategy that you use. And it's so awesome. Alright guys, well that's about all I had for you to tell you. I hope you enjoyed listening to my awkward talking. I'm not really used to this whole YouTube thing, but I really hope you guys enjoyed and got some good information out of this. So yeah, I will end the video here, and we'll see you in my next video.